minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Magandang gabi po sa ating mga kasamahan dito sa plenaryo at sa Zoom. Marapatin ba ng ating kagalang-galang na sponsor at kababayan makapagtanong ang kinatawang ito sa ating panukalang batas?
With pleasure, Mr. Speaker.
Maraming salamat po. Ang panukalang batas na ito ay sinertipika na urgent sa gitna ng pandemya ng COVID na ang hinahanap ng ating mga mamamayan ay ayuda. Ang hinahanap ng ating mamamayan ay economic stimulus. But talagang pinili ng administrasyon at ng mga nagtutulak nito, ng mga authors na ito na pabilisin ang pagpasa ng isang anti-terror bill para bagang si COVID-19 ay ang ating hindi ay terorista na kailangang sagutin nitong anti-terror bill. Pero alam po natin, kagalang-galang na sponsor at Mr. Speaker, hindi si COVID-19 ang target nitong panukalang batas na ito. Siguro po bilang panimulang tanong sa ating kagalang-galang na sponsor, marapatin niyo po bang ipaalam sa kapulungang ito, ilan na po ba ang nahuling mga mamamayang Pilipino mula ng March 17 up until April 17 nang inimplementa natin ang iba't ibang level ng kwarantina o lockdown sa buong bansa, ginoong sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Ang hinuli para saan po, Mr. Speaker?
Sa mga sinabing paglabag sa kwarantina, sinasabing paglabag sa protocols at iba't iba pang mga kadahilanan mula nung mag-implementa tayo ng lockdown at hanggang sa kasalukuyan, ginoong sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, wala pa pong report yung executive pagdating doon. So as far as Congress is concerned, hindi pa po natin alam officially from the executive kung ano po at ilan po ang mga nahuli regarding the COVID-19.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Then I'll give you the numbers if you will allow. Between the period March 17 to April 17, 29,632 were arrested. Uulitin ko po, 29,632 were arrested for just a period of 1 month. At ang mga hinuli pong ito, ang kanilang kalimitan na ginawang dahilan ng mga kapulisan at ng mga law enforcement agency ay ang usapin ng lockdown o quarantine, and they in fact invoke ang batas na ating kapapasalan ng Marso, ng bayanihan, to heal as one na batas.
Dapat nga pinatay kayo eh.
Daw doon na hindi sinusunod ng ating mga kababayan. And most of these arrested as of now are already released. But there are still a lot of them na nasa kulungan pa rin. Dahil yung iba ay hindi makapagpiyansa at dahil nga wala na rin trabaho. I cited this, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, dahil ito po ang isa sa implikasyon nakakabahala sa itinutulak nating anti-terror law. Very broad, very vague ang definition kung sino ang terorista at ano ang terorismo. At binibigyan natin ng napakalaking luwang, elbow room, ang law enforcement agency, ang state security forces to interpret who are terrorists and what is terrorism. So, ang isang implikasyon nito, pag ipinasa ang batas na ito, kung dito sa Bayanihan Act to Heal as One, sa isang buwan lang ay may hinuling halos 30,000, isa sa pwedeng mangyari pagkatapos may pasa ang anti-terror bill na ito ay libo-libo ang makukulong, and it will in fact, sa tingin natin, magpapalala sa kasalukuyang krisis na dala ng pandemya ng COVID, dahil sa halip na ating paluwagin ng ating mga kulungan ay sasalaksak natin sa loob ng kulungan ang libo-libong mamamayan, lalo na ngayon na sila ay naniningil, are taking accountability, calling for accountability at nananawagan sa pamahalaan na tuparin ang kanyang mga dapat gawin sa panahon ng krisis. But having said that, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, ang itinuro po sa atin, kaya tayo ay nagbabalangkas ng batas, lalo na yung mga penal laws, ang teorya nito ay kailangang i-punish natin ang acts that are being committed, the criminal acts. We have to punish the criminal acts. May I inquire, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, is this the same jury being followed in this proposed bill now?
Well, unang-una, Mr. Speaker, yung 29,600 po, kung accurate po yung numbers na yun, ang mga inaresto doon ay hindi po mga terrorist. Sila po ay naglabag ng Bayanihan Law at hindi po naglabag ng Human Security Act of 2007. At palagay ko po, yung sa 29,600 na inaresto, wala naman sigurong balak na pumatay o magpatay o maghanap ng mga paraan para magpatay at manira ng mga property ng government or mag-incite to whatever other crimes under Section 4.
Thank you for that answer, but I just cited that to emphasize the fact that if you are crafting a law na napakalawak, napaka-vague ng mga usapin at definisyon, ay talagang magre-resulta ito sa malawakang paglabag ng karapatang pangtao. Magre-resulta ito sa maramihan at huli, gaya ng napakaraming hinuli sa simpleng batas ng bayanihan to be last one act.
Specific na acts na madedetermine natin as terrorism. Nakasulat po sa Section 4 ang paglabag na yan. At marami pa po tayong mga sections na pinagtrabahuan natin ito sa ating tatlong kongreso na pinapanday po. 7 taon po natin po pinapanday na panukalang batas. Nagsimula po ito sa 16th Congress, tinuloy po sa 17th Congress at ngayon sa 18th Congress pinag-uusapan po natin. Hindi po overbroad ang ating definitions dahil napolish na po natin ito. Nakita po natin specific acts po.
Nakita po tayo
sa mga regulations kanina, mga pagtatanong at mga pagsasagot at nakita po natin na consistent po ang sagot ng ating mga chairman at mga author na specific acts of terrorism po ito. Kung hindi po papasok under terrorism, then normal crimes ang papasok, yung mga nasa revised penal code natin, pati ang ating mga special laws. It has to be a special kind of action for it to be considered na terrorism. Ang problema ho, ang takot ng marami na iaabuso daw ito ng gobyerno. And it is good na dinidiscuss po natin na maaabuso ba ito ng gobyerno. Ang sagot dyan ay kung inabuso ito ng gobyerno, may kapalit na parusa sa mga government officials and law enforcers. Yun po ang mga safeguards natin dito. Hindi po broad ang definition, very specific po ang ating definition dito.
Salamat po. Pupunta po tayo sa, wag po kayo mag-alala, pupunta po tayo sa mga provision na yan na sinabi ninyo na very specific. But on to my second point earlier, dito, tinanong ko po, ano po ang tsurya na sinusunod natin dito sa panukalang batas na ito? Are we punishing the criminal acts committed by an individual? Is that the jury we are following here, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Ang ina mo,
Basahin po natin yung section
nilagay ka dyan sa rapi para ipagtanggol ang mga komunista eh.
Paragraph 3. The state recognizes that
Ang
the
ina ka.
fight against terrorism requires
Mamundo ka na lang uli.
comprehensive approach.
Di ka bagay maging
comprising
congressman.
Political, economic, diplomatic, military, and legal means, duly taking into account the root causes of terrorism without acknowledging these as justifications for terrorist and or criminal activities. Such measures shall include conflict management and post-conflict peace building, addressing the roots of conflict by building state capacity and promoting equitable economic development. So ito po ang state policy natin na ginagamit under Section 2.
Thank you for that, Mr. Sponsor. Although you're not explicitly stating what kind of theory of law you are following in this bill. Now, on to my specific question. You mentioned earlier na napaka-specific ng mga nakalagay na rito ng mga provision. You cited Section 4. Now, we'll go to Section 4. Pwede po bang masabi ng author, no, dito sa Section 4, ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng phrase na intended to? No? In Section 4A and B and C. Anong ibig sabihin nito? No? Ito ba, ibig bang sabihin nito that acts that do not cause death, serious bodily injury, extensive damage, and destruction is also considered terrorism, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Not any act. Not just any act. Dahil meron po tayong mga existing laws under our revised penal code and other special laws that punish that. Only said acts under the idea of terrorism ang pinapunish po natin.
Precisely, I'm asking the sponsor, because this is the way you crafted it, engages, if I may say, Section 4A, engages in acts intended to. Ano po ang ibig sabihin? Nung sabihin ninyong acts intended to cause death. If the acts committed does not result to death, bodily injury, or damage, is that still considered terrorism?
Kailangan po natin ito basahin ng buo. Diretso tayo sa purpose. Kung yung purpose na yan, na ay klaro na para mag-create under subletter E of the same section, to create an atmosphere or spread a message of fear, to provoke or influence by intimidation the government or any of its international organizations, or seriously destabilize or destroy the fundamental political, economic, or social structures of the country, or create a public emergency, or seriously undermine public safety, shall be guilty of committing terrorism. Kailangan po yung context. Yun po kasi yung pinaka-importante dito sa bill natin, sa panukalang batas natin. Kung out of the context of terrorism, edi hindi yan terrorism. Lalabas na yan under our special laws, our special penal laws, and our revised penal law.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor. You mentioned context. So my next question is, who determines now intent? Kasi sabi mo, kailangan nasa context ito. Who determines intent? Kasi nakalagay sa batas, intended to. So you are looking at the intention of the person. So who determines intent? How would we know that the intent of the person is to cause death, or to cause serious bodily injury, or to cause extensive damage or others, when the resulting crime did not produce death, bodily injury, or extensive damage?
Maganda yung tanong na yan. In fact, yung intent is the most important part. That has to be proven. And that intent is one of the hardest things to prove by any government agency. Kanina, mahaba-haba ang debate between designation and prescription. So, ito siguro ang i-fast forward natin. Okay lang ba, Mr. Speaker?
You go ahead, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Let us talk in examples. Merong isang tao dyan, sinususpetsa, siguro terrorist yan. That is not enough. Pero kung kilala na yan, member yan siya ng isang terrorist organization that has been proscribed by a competent court in our jurisdiction, din yan. Meron na tayong pwedeng pagdudahan dito sa tao na to. At kung nakita natin by their actions na meron silang binabalak, ayan, pwede na natin siguro i-survey yan. At pwede na siguro natin i-detain yan at i-inform ang judge kung ano ang ating mga probable cause dito. Dito sa bill naman, since napasok natin ang probable cause, lumalabas ang probable cause only in the determination of designation ng ATC. So yung designation sa ATC dito, pag na-designate ng ATC, which is an executive body, na yung grupo na yan, posible yan na terrorist yan, Anong epekto? Ibig ba sabihin, pwede na damputin ang tao? Hindi. Very clear. Pag na-designate na yan, ng executive, ng ATC, na-designated yung grupo na yan, ang information ng designation na ito ipapasa sa Anti-Money Laundering Council. At pag napasa sa Anti-Money Laundering Council, yung Anti-Money Laundering Council, babantayan na nila ang kanilang mga assets, mga bank account, kung merong suspicious activity based on the rules of the Anti-Money Laundering Law, doon na nila pwedeng aksyonan yan. O pwede nilang hindi.
Thank you for that answer, Mr. Sponsor. Medyo lumipad ka na ng medyo malayo, no? Dahil gusto ko lang ibalik talaga doon sa specificong tanong.
Ulol mo!
Who determines
Hindi ka talaga
intent?
makaintindi,
But based on your
sarate.
answer,
Ina ka.
nakuha ko na rin, no? Na ang
Aminin mo na kasi,
determination now of
parte ka ng komunista,
from the
terorista.
answer lies on the
Ina
law
ka,
enforcement
ganda ng paliwanag ni Nograles
agencies, no?
Di mo tanggapin.
So, in this bill, the law enforcement officers
Ang ina nyo.
determines intent. He interprets it.
Ginagawa mong tanga
He's
ang
performing
mga
interpretation
kasamahan
kasi
ng congressman.
ini-interpret niya yung intention ng tao. And at the same time, he is also looking for facts or evidence. So ganun ang mangyayari, no? So in this case, the law enforcement will do a double interpretation. In that, aside from the phrase intended to, kasi intent yung tinitingnan niya. No, malinaw naman dito sa section 4. No, you can charge a person based on his the intention of that purpose of that person, no? So the law enforcement official will
Dapat
also
lang lipulin
interpret the
lahat kayo,
provision
patayin.
when the purpose of.
Walang
Kasi binasa
itira.
niyo yan kanina, sabi niyo dapat may context, no? So don't you think that the law enforcement official or officer in this case
Ang inang tong
should
sarate
only
ito.
deal with facts and evidence
Bobo.
rather than
Oo nga.
interpretation? And this is in the instance of double interpretation. Don't you think that it should be the function of the judiciary to interpret the law based on the evidence submitted by law enforcement officers? Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Correct. You are correct there, Mr. Speaker, that the courts are actually the ones that determine intent. However, we also have to consider that under our present legal system, criminal intent is also presumed.
No, I beg to disagree.
But the courts are the ones that determine the intent here. And the courts are involved in every aspect of this bill, of this proposed law. Hindi naman na-exempt ang court dito. In fact, pag meron nang detained na individual, the court has to be informed, has to be notified. And the person detained must have the right to counsel. And all that is afforded to the person in detention is already very clear in Republic Act 7438, which this bill does not supersede. Republic Act 7438 is there. And sabihin natin damages pag na-detain ng isang tao. Ang damages dito sa wrongful detention na ito, nandyan din sa Section 32 ng Civil Code po natin. There are many remedies and there are many safeguards there, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, but that is not too assuring to this representation. No? Inamin nyo na rin. Tama, I certainly agree with you. Dapat, ang batas, ang korte, ang dapat nag-iinterpreta ng intent, no? At dapat ang law enforcement agency ay sila ay nangangalap ng ebidensya at ito ay kanilang ilapag doon sa
Tanga!
korte.
Bobo!
But here, in this case,
Kaya nga tinanggap ng korte.
Napakadelikado nito.
Kaya nga tinanggap ng korte yung ano ng pulis dahil mayroon silang investigasyong ginawa
We are giving the law enforcement
Legitimate
officials or officers
Bobo.
discretionary powers on determining what is the intention of a person, no, when he is performing an act. At malinaw na inamin naman ninyo rito, no? Even the intention is now being punished. Kasi the way it is crafted, sabi nyo rito, engages, for example, in letter A, section 4A, engages in acts intended to cause death. ang intention niya,
Ninilihis mo, Sarate.
gumawa siya ng isang bagay na
Para
ang intention
magka-issue.
daw niya ay para magresulta sa isang pagpatay. So, there, on the first instance pa lang, ay binigyan na kaagad natin ng leeway, no? Yung law enforcement agency. Now, since that is very clear now to me, no? I will now go to another point. In your proposed bill, we are punishing terrorism. No? Ating pong pinapunish ang terrorism ngayon, regardless of the stage
Kasama ka dun,
of commission. Is that correct?
Sarate.
Yes, that's correct, as written in Section 4.
But we know that there are stages of commission. No? Halimbawa, nakalagay naman yan sa revised penal code, no? Na mayroong stages of commission. Now, ibig bang sabihin ng kagalang-galang na sponsor, Mr. Speaker, itong stages of commission, ang teorya, bakit there are stages of commission, no, under our revised penal code, no longer applies this particular bill, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Again, balik tayo dun sa point mo. It's an intent. And then dito, this is a special law as far as terrorism is concerned. And since it's a special law, we have delineated step by step po dito. So, if a person is seen by a lawful authority in the exercise of their duty that this is engaged in an act of terrorism, tapos sabihin natin, inaresto ang tao, na-detain ang tao, in-inform ang judge of the nearest court, and at the same time, nandun yung abogado, then kailangan, it is assumed, it is presumed that the law enforcer must show to the judge, and it is even explicit, na ipapakita kung bakit ba niya na-detain ito? Ano ba yung stage of execution na sinasabi niya dito? Paano ba ipuprove ng law enforcer na itong tao may intensyon na gumawa ng act of terrorism? Yung po, malinaw na malinaw po dito.
Well, again, salamat po doon sa inyong
Hindi makaintindihan si Sarate.
bigay ng assurance sa kinatawang ito. Now, since you admitted,
Kinatawan ka ng mga NPA, komunista, gago.
itong stage of commission of the crime ay wala naman palang pagkakaiba dahil dito sa inyong panukalang batas, even if the act of the person does not result in a consummated act, no? So even if it is only attempted or frustrated, the same shall be punished as an act of terrorism. So ibig sabihin, yung taong yan, kahit hindi naman na-consummate yung kanyang ginawa, he will be penalized with life imprisonment. Is that correct, Mr. Sponsor?
That is correct.
Yes.
Because yung habol po natin ay hindi po mag-succeed ang terrorist sa kanyang balak.
Yes, because that is your intention, to punish not only consummated acts, but also attempted and frustrated acts.
Nag-aalabugado ka ng mga komunista eh.
Revised Penal Code, for example. No? Kaya merong stages of commission dahil sa Revised Penal Code, if it is only frustrated, there are degrees lower, may degree lower ang penalty niyan. At kung attempted naman, ganun din. No? Pero dito, sabi ninyo, wala nang attempted, frustrated, or consummated man yan, lahat, isa lang ang penalty. So my question
Ganun sa lahat ng mga special laws po na.
Yeah. Now my question now, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, again, going back to this section 4, why then did you still add the phrase intended to? If your intention is to punish all the stages of commission, bakit kailangan isama pa ninyo itong intended to sa panukalang batas na ito? Why will you still punish the intent if there is no stages of commission?
Because such is the nature of terrorism ho. Yung terrorism, merong deliberate na act na gusto nilang i-execute at kailangan po natin sila tigilin bago po nila ma-execute successfully ang kanilang act.
Thank you for that answer. Again, it is not reassuring because I fear that this law would not be evidence-based, but rather what the law enforcers attribute to the minds of our citizens, what they think, yun na ang kagad i-penalize. No? Gaya nung nangyari ngayon, na binanggit ko kanina, citing the Bayanihan Act to Hilas 1,
Luro ba kaya hinuli?
persons were already arrested. And this will become worse under this proposed anti-terror law. This law is
Mr.
not
Speaker, I don't think
Let me finish first,
under our republic.
Let me finish first, Mr. Sponsor.
Conviction under this proposed law, which has hindi po ito evidence-based. I have to beg to disagree, Mr. Speaker, but it is not evidence-based. It is evidence-based. In fact, the
How can you find evidence of intention?
evidence comes from the arresting officer.
How can you judge the intention of a person? What evidence will you find? So again, that is the danger of this proposed law. No? I will move now to another point. Dahil malinaw na yan.
Paano naging danger?
Na
Batas
kahit na yung
yan.
intention ay
Pinagdidipatihan nyo yan dyan.
So,
Tangina
again,
ka. Tangina mo, sarate ka.
other
Oh,
points.
yan ang sayo. Tangina mo.
Can the good sponsor
Tangina mo.
in section 5 gave examples
Sayang ang
on how
pasahod
to
namin sa'yo.
threat to commit
Inakasarate
terrorism,
ka.
how it is being done.
Well, let me give an actual example. Let us imagine that this
Ina
law
mo. Gago.
is in place.
Aga-aga.
and
Buisit.
enforced at the current situation. And let us imagine that the actionable intelligence of the existence of the suicide bombers of the Holo Cathedral in January 2019, which through our committee meetings, our law enforcement agents have admitted that they knew that these foreign terrorists are here in our land and they want to conduct a bombing, but they don't know when, they don't know how they're gonna conduct the bombing, but they know that they will conduct a bombing. Wala pong batas na magagamit nila para i-detain dahil yung Human Security Act hindi po kasama yung of 2007, hindi po kasama ang pag-detain ng mga tao na ito na kumbinsido na sila. Meron ng mga information, actionable information na nandyan. Pero hindi po makagalaw ang ating mga law enforcement agencies.
Yes.
Yun po ang best example siguro na preventable yung holo bombing kung ang batas na ito ay naipasa ng 2018.
So where is the situation of threatening there?
The threat there is that alam po ng ating mga law enforcement agencies na meron ng mga bombers na nandito, suicide bombers. And that is our first case in our nation na nagkaroon ng suicide bombers. January 2019, mga foreigners pa na suicide bombers.
Let me
and it
cut
was
you,
already determined.
Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
And it was admitted in our committee hearing under oath by our resource persons na pwede yun na-prevent kung naipasa itong ating panukalang batas.
Ipasa na yan,
Mr.
batas na
Sponsor.
yan.
If I may read,
Pabayaan mo yung mga
Section
komunista
5.
na yan.
Threat to commit terrorism. Any person who shall threaten to commit any of the acts mentioned in sections 4 shall suffer the penalty of imprisonment of 12 years. So, that's why I asked the question, how it is being committed? What kind of words are we looking at here? When you say, I'm threatening to commit section 4. Halimbawa, kung sabihin ko ba na, I will engage in the acts of destroying your house. I will engage in bodily harming you. I will engage in killing you. Kailangan ba nandoon yung mga what words, no? Kasi ang
Pinagbantake.
pinakalit niyo rito sa section 5, threats to commit any acts of section 4. So, what are the acts in section 4? Engages
Gago ka.
in acts intended to cause death. Again, how is this being committed? Who determines what?
To
Who
answer your
determines that?
question,
Who determines
suicide
that
bombers po
the
ng
threat
Holo,
to commit an intention to cause death is violable of Section 5. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, to answer your question earlier, yung suicide bombers dun sa Holo Cathedral ay openly po at pinaabot po nila sa gobyerno natin that they intend to bomb and carry out a suicide bombing. That is a fact that was said during our committee. So, yan po ang doon po papasok ang Section 5, the threat to commit terrorism. Pinaalam po nila sa ating gobyerno, pinaalam po nila sa public na yun po ang gagawin. Now, ibalik po natin sa example po, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor, yung sinabi niyo ho na to threaten to burn the house or to destroy the property or to threaten ng ganyan, hindi po yan act of terrorism under this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Now, will the good sponsor declare in this plenary what is the basis for detaining a
Good
person
sponsor sabihin mo, tapos ginagago mo.
14 days? And what is the basis? Why 14 days? And why it can be extended for 10 days? Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
The terrorism or the culture of terrorism or the acts of terrorism have evolved through the decades. And because of that, there are many countries that have also evolved in their laws against terrorism. And to give an example, terrorism actually works in a regional atmosphere and can work and has been working in a regional atmosphere. And in the regional atmosphere, our neighbors in Southeast Asia and Oceania, sa Australia and Sri Lanka, they can detain a person for 14 days without warrant of arrest. In Bangladesh, 15 days. In Indonesia, 21 days. In Pakistan, 30 days. In Malaysia, 59 days. In Singapore, 730 days. Because of that, ang nangyari po ay yung Pilipinas naging accidental haven ng mga nagtatago na mga terorista. Etong ating panukalang batas ay gusto po natin na sundin ang regional security and at the same time, i-fulfill po natin ang obligations natin sa sarili nating mga tao to protect our people as enshrined in Section 2 and at the same time, fulfill po yung obligations natin sa United Nations na hindi po natin gagawing haven of terrorists ang Pilipinas. So yung 14 days po na yan, ilagay po natin for the protection of the Philippines.
Mr. Speaker,
The majority floor.
before we continue again with the interpellations, I move that we extend the interpellation to another 20 minutes, Mr. Speaker. So move.
Yes, the majority floor leader being very generous, it is therefore the time of the gentleman from Bayan Muna is hereby extended for 10 short minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, for your answer. Binanggit ninyo yung ibang bansa, mahigit nga 14 na araw yung pagkakulong, no, para masawata raw ang terorismo. So, based on your answer, parang pinili lang natin, basta 14 days, gusto natin 14 days. Kasi yung iba 15, 20, 70. But I suppose Australia, Sri Lanka, and other countries do not have Article 3, Section 13 in their constitution. It does not have Article 7, Section 18 in their constitution, which says during the if I make a state, Mr. Sponsor, Article 7, Section 18, during the suspension of the privilege of the writ any person thus arrested or detained shall be judicially charged within 3 days. Otherwise, he shall be released. Article 3, Section 13, all persons except those charged with offenses punishable by reclusion perpetua when the evidence of guilt is strong shall before conviction be bailable by sufficient sureties or be released on recognizance as may be provided by law. The right to bail shall not be impaired even when the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus is suspended. Excessive bail shall not be required. So malinaw po sa ating saligang batas yan. Kahit na sa panahon na nakasuspinde ang privilege of the writ of habeas corpus, kahit na nasa panahon tayo na nasa estado ng batas militar, ay sinasabi po doon na kailangan ang isang taong nahuli ay kailangang judicially charged within a period of 3 days. No? Pero dito, gusto natin sa 14 na araw, ikulong muna natin siya at hindi natin alam kung anong pinagagawa na sa kanya bago pa siya sampahan ng kaso, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
So, maliwanag po, Mr. Speaker, na sa saligang batas po natin nakasulat na ang 3 days po ay nag-a-apply po sa panahon na suspendido po yung privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. Itong bill po natin ay in effect pag hindi po suspendido ang bill of habeas, privilege of the writ of habeas corpus. So, anong mangyari pag meron pong na-detain? Pag meron na-detain, pwede siyang makakuha ng counsel kaagad. At kailangan i-inform ang judge na nandito po. Kailangan i-inform ang judge kung bakit nandito yung na-detain ang tao. Yung abogado ng na-detain na tao ay pwedeng pumunta sa korte at mag-file ng writ of habeas corpus kung gusto niyang palayain yan at hindi klaro yung ebidensya. Among all others. And not to mention na pag meron pong na-detain, kailangan i-inform po ang Commission on Human Rights para sigurado po na walang human rights violations.
Napakadali po sabihin ninyo, ginong sponsor, Mr. Speaker, na...
Yan o, kasabot nyo naman ang human right, di ba? Kinang-ina nyo.
Isang human rights lawyer nitong nakaraang maraming taon na rin. Hindi ho ganun kasimple. At kung sabihin ninyo na yun ay ang ating konstitusyon ay nag-a-apply lamang sa panahon ng pagsuspindi ng privilege of writ of habeas corpus at ng martial law, ay di mas masahol pa ang batas na ito sa martial law at sa pagsuspindi ng writ of habeas corpus na ginagawa lamang sa panahon ng mga extraordinary times. No? In extraordinary times, dapat within 3 days you have to charge the person. But here, even in ordinary times, gusto nyong hulihin na muna sila at ikulong ng 14 na araw, 2 linggo, na wala pang sinasampang kaso. At ang masahol pa dito, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, sinususpitsahan pa lamang ang isang tao, no? Sa kanyang intensyon, kung ano ang gusto niyang gawin. Dahil under this bill, under this law, even the intention is now being penalized. Kaya talaga hong mas masahol pa ito at kailangan kondinahin ang provision na ito na nilagay ninyo sa panukalang batas na ito. Now, kakibat dyan sa tanong na yan, pwede ho ba ipaliwanag ng kagalang-galang na sponsor dito ho sa inyong panukalang batas, nilagay nyo dito, any law enforcement agent or military personnel who, having been duly authorized in writing by the Anti-Terrorism Council, has taken custody of a person suspected of committing any of the acts defined and penalized under sections 4, 5, 6, 7, and 12. Ano po ba ang ibig sabihin ng taking into custody? Is this a form of arrest or is this just a form of invitation as it is being commonly done nowadays? So where do we source the authority to put a citizen under custody aside from arresting the person? Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
When the person is a known terrorist and has been proscribed, doon po natin makita na yung ATC sinasabi po sa isang law enforcement agency or law enforcer na arestuhin po ang tao.
So taking into custody, because that is how it is being phrased, who having been duly authorized in writing has taken custody. Are you saying that it is only limited to arrest, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker?
Detention and arrest, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. If the person is invited, is that considered taken into custody?
is not an invitation already taking into custody. Yes. However, let us not forget Republic Act 7438, the law protecting the rights of the accused, the arrested, the detained, or under custodial investigation.
Again, that's the problem with this proposal, bill. You are putting a lot of vague statements. If you want to use the word arrest, then say arrest. Why do you have to say taken into custody? Because that will give too much leeway to a law enforcement officer, a police, or a military to interpret what is taken into custody, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker. At yan ho ang nakakabala rito. Kasi kung aresto ang nilagay nyo rito, ay meron hong mga, gaya na nabanggit ninyo, meron hong mga requirements sa batas. Kailangan na-inform siya sa kanyang karapatan, yung kanyang Miranda rights, at iba pang karapatan na nasasaad sa ating konstitusyon at sa ating batas. Pero pag sinabi niyo, you're taken into custody, I'm not, kung ako yung law enforcement agency, I will not advise you of your Miranda rights because that is not stated in the law. Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, medyo mali po ata siguro yung pagkaintindi ninyo, Mr. Speaker.
Talagang mali.
Kanina ko pa po sinasabi na ang batas po na ito, ang panukalang batas po na ito, hindi po natin tinatanggal.
Mahina talaga. Mahina ang kukote nung sarate na yan.
Republic Act 7438.
Nila mo na sa pagiging komunista.
Ang invitation ba ay isang arrest? Yes, it is. Because under our existing law, Republic Act 7438, all forms of restraint, invitation included, is considered an arrest. So, it's nothing new sa ating batas. This provision or your line of question is already existing law in our law.
Thank you for that nothing new answer. But again, nothing new. Grabe na po ang violation ng karapatan ng mamamayan sa sinasabi ninyo because you are being
grabe.
Dahil sa mga vague, no, very broad, overbroad meaning ng kahit na itong phrase na ito taken into custody. Gaya ng nabanggit ko, kung sinabi ninyo na ang ibig palang sabihin nito ay pag-aresto, eh sabihin na niyo rito sa batas na ito na authorized in writing by the ATC to arrest a person suspected of committing a crime. Kasi pag sinabi ninyong who has taken custody of a person, ay napakarami pong pwedeng maging interpretasyonan. But be that as it may, ay talaga hong dito po ay malinaw, no? First, sabi ko nga kanina, kahit na yung pinagsususpitsahan pa lamang ay pwede nang maditine ng 14 na araw.
Mr. Speaker, if I may.
Yes, Mr. Sponsor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Section 30 po sa ating panukalang batas, the rights of a person under custodial detention. The moment a person charged with or suspected of committing any of the acts defined and penalized under Section 4 and so forth of this Act is apprehended or arrested and detained, he shall forthwith be informed by the arresting law enforcement agent or military personnel by the law enforcement whose custody the person concerned is brought of his or her right to be informed of the nature and cause of his arrest, to remain silent, and to have competent and independent counsel, preferably of his choice. If the person cannot afford the services of counsel of his or her choice, the law enforcement agent or military personnel concerned shall immediately contact the Free Legal Assistance Unit of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines or the Public Attorney's Office. It shall be the duty of the Free Legal Assistance Unit of the IBP or the PAO, thus contacted, to immediately visit the person or persons detained and provide them or him or her with legal assistance. These rights cannot be waived except in writing and in the presence of his or her counsel of her choice, among others, mga protection. Section 31, meron pa tayong punishment sa mga law enforcement agencies who even violate the rights of the detained. So, dito po yung safeguard. Hindi po broad powers. Ito very specific po yung ating mga powers and limitations.
Thank you, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker. Dahil po talagang limitado ang oras na ibinibigay sa atin na talakayin itong panukalang batas na ito. No? Kasi hindi ho ito pinagdebatihan sa komite. No? Pinasa na lang ito ng joint committees na walang debate.
Iyak na lang kayo sa rate.
Sa plenaryong ito ay madebatihan ng matagal-tagal pero nilimitahan pa rin po ang ating karapatan.
Iyak ka na lang.
Gusto ko na lang pong siguro huling punto na itanong at para malinaw lang dito sa kagalang-galang na sponsor. Paano po malalaman kung ang isang organisasyon o ang isang tao ay terorista, ang organisasyon na yan?
Ikaw makakasagot yan. Kabilang ka dyan sa mga terorista.
Sino po ang magdetermina?
Ang unang-una na mag-determine yan ay yung court of law.
Yes.
Proscription. Now, magpo-proscribe po yan, dadaan po yan ng isang judicial process, evidence-based ng organisasyon.
I agree to you. Congressman Jericho Nograles.
Sa terorismo,
I agree
po
to you.
ang kanilang
So, judicial process.
of existence. Ang pangalawa po, kung ang United Nations Security Council na nilagay po sa listahan ang isang organization, whether that organization is foreign or dito po, galing po sa Pilipinas, na itong ating panukalang batas, marirecognize na po natin ang mga foreign terrorist fighters and other foreign terrorist
Yes, I agree
na
that.
hindi po ito kasama sa existing Human Security Act of 2000.
Mabuhay ka, Congressman
At ang
Nograles.
pangatlo, kung ang ating Anti-Terrorism Council, through evidence, ay makita
Yes.
nila na there is probable cause na ang grupo na ito ay engaged po sa terorismo at yung power lang po na yan ay papasa nila sa AMLAC para yung AMLAC ay sila po ang magdedetermine whether or not i-freeze ang assets in accordance to our existing anti-money laundering laws.
Salamat po at nilinaw ninyo yan na dito pala sa panukalang batas na ito, hindi lang judicial process, hindi lang ang United Nations, ang isa pong ahensya, ang Anti-Terrorism Council na parang magmumukhang hunta, no, ay may kapangyarihan na rin na
bastos ka sa rami ka.
power, no, dahil siya po ay magdetermina rin. Dahil marami po, hindi lang sa AMLA ito, kahit doon sa usapin ng recruitment, siya mag-determine if
Ang
that
ina mo,
organization
Sarate,
is organized
komunista ka.
for the purpose of engaging in
Hayop ka.
terrorism. No? So, meron hong bagong
Tumanda
batas
ka na
dito
sa pagiging terorista.
binigyan ng maraming powers, judicial, executive, at iba pang kapangyarihan. No? So, ito po ang nakakabahala rito. So, bilang pagtatapos, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker,
Ina ka.
malinaw po sa mga naging kasagutan ng ating kagalang-galang na sponsor na sa kinatawang ito, hindi ho talaga katanggap-tanggap ang panukalang
Kagalang-galang, tapos sabi mo hindi katanggap-tanggap.
sa
Gago.
pagdeklara ng batas militar. At even as we speak now, rumaratsada po ang red tagging, red labeling ng National Task Force to End the Local Communist Armed Conflict in TFL-CAP. No? At ito po ay kahit na kaming mga miyembro ng Kongreso ng kapulungan ito ng
mga komunista, miyembro ka din.
No? At how much more sa atin hong mga ordinaryong mamamayan, no? Mga miyembro ng oposisyon, ang mga kritiko ng pamahalang ito sa darating na mga araw. So yun po ang dapat pag nilay-nilayan natin sa kapulungan ito na nagpapasa tayo ng isang batas na can be weaponized, no? Not only today, not only tomorrow, but even in the future, especially kung ang
Yun ang
isang,
sayo, Sarate.
pamahalaan o
Ina mo.
organisasyon ay napupulaan dahil sa kakulangan ng kanyang pag-deliver ng mga mahalagang serbisyo sa pamahalaan
Sampo ng mga
ating mga
kapartido mong
kababayan.
komunista.
Especially in this time of
Ina nyo.
crisis ng ating mga mamamayan ay naghahanap ng tulong mula sa pamahalaan.
The chair would like to remind the distinguished gentleman from Bayan Muna Party List.
Maraming salamat, Mr. Sponsor, Mr. Speaker, sa pagkakaroon.
Maraming salamat po sa inyo, gentleman from Bayan Muna Party List.